my song. Let's sing it. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Come on, it's gonna be fucking awesome. You know the words. It's gonna be fucking awesome. That's it, sing. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Yeah!
Hey, everybody. It is I, Jesse Blaze Snyder, the coolest motherfucking geek around. How are you doing? I'm okay. Life has been a little crazy, a little topsy-turvy. I lost my grandfather, passed away just last week. I took the week off because I was distraught. So much happens on your insides when you lose somebody close to you. And I mean, honestly, this is going to be a weird episode today. You know, I didn't do my typical scripting and, putting together my bullet points or, what I would normally do for a Wednesday episode. Basically, because I'm like pissed about this Newsday article, and they don't even deserve respect like that. Like the idea of scripting an episode and like spending any time writing in detail the fucking bullshit that they did would like it was just the idea of it was annoying me. So you're gonna get a really raw Jesse Blaze Snyder here today. I'm just talking. You're hanging with me. I'm hanging with you. In the middle of dealing with my grandfather's death. An article that I did an interview with a good friend of mine, a mentor. I'm not going to mention any of the people's names other than Newsday. For those of you who saw, there was an article that I was featured in on Long Island's newspaper Newsday. My history with Newsday goes back to high school. I was published in Newsday in their Fresh Voices article, which was something where they would publish things that had been written by high school students, and I was a accomplished writer in high school, and I was very, very proud to get published in Newsday at the time. Considered it my first professional bit of writing. But I'd been published in magazines like Teen Ink and other things like that, and had won various contests. Or I can remember I was the runner-up in the Emerson's annual journalism competition, which I was very excited about. They were a college that I was looking at the time. Most of this is all thank you to my teacher, Mrs. Krinsky, who had a class called Independent Writing for Publication. And because of the class, basically every assignment that we had, and there were many, many, many of them, I mean, at least 30 or so each year, everything was submitted to something. Like there was no writing assignment that did not get submitted somewhere across the nation to, some place where you might get published. And I was very happy to get published many times. And one of the things that I got published in was Fresh Voices in Newsday, which was a cool thing at the time. And the person who wrote that article or headed up that article was the same person. Again, I'm about to trash them, so I'm not going to name them. But a good friend became a friend of mine over the years. I was a mentor because they were my student advisor at CW Post, which is where I ended up going to college. I ended up not going far away to college, even though I wanted to. But I had a little sister, and I didn't want to, her to grow up without me in her life. So I commuted from where I was out in Setauket to CW Post, and I was the A&E editor of the newspaper my freshman year. Was very proud to offer a 8-page pullout in my entertainment section. It was an 8-page pullout section in my newspaper, and I was advised by the same person who had published me in the Fresh Voices section in Newsday. And this person, has been a friend of mine and followed me, on social media or whatever ever since. And we've occasionally spoken and, has been a source of, pats on the back and things like that as a writer and, being proud of me, seeing me get published and, in professional capacities, throughout my life. So when this person reached out to me a few months ago and said, hey, I want to do a story on you, or I want to include you in a story, rather, is more accurate, on non-binary people. Because I had made a post. Now, I had made a series of posts on my social media. This was on my personal page. This was to people who I cared about. And I mean, granted, I didn't go out of the way to make this stuff private so people could find it if they wanted to, but they would find the post in all of its detail. And I made a few different posts at the time. I had made a post about not being suicidal anymore and talked in detail about why I had been suicidal, about feeling like basically egos in the world were sort of like making me out to be an egomaniac, when really it was the egomaniacs who were feeling threatened by my confidence and the fact that I put myself out there in all these different ways, that I'm brave, and then they just assume that I'm like some sort of ego-driven person, when really, like, I do all the things that I do because I love people. I love people, so I do things that like might matter to other people, not to lift myself up. I have the confidence to think that that I'm good enough to offer something. And I try to give that confidence to other people, to make other people believe that they're good enough to offer something. And I believe that you are good enough to offer something. And if you've listened to my show before, you've heard me say various versions of this, but I believe in you guys, especially my audience. If you've been listening to my show, you're learning a lot, because I am constantly just laying out what I have learned from the greats, from the great writers, from observing all of the wonderful movies and all of the wonderful books and all of the wonderful comic books and all of the wonderful video games and all of the wonderful things that there are, where I've been constantly trying to learn what made them so wonderful. And if you're here listening to the show, you probably have a leg up over other people. And not to say that you have to listen to my show in order to be able to go out there and do something, but I'm just saying, like, I believe in you. I really do. If you're listening to a show like this, it means that you're out there trying to learn and trying to discover, and like, we are the best people for the job. The people who care about getting it right, we're the right people to get all these jobs and to be doing things out in the world. So yeah, I believe in you, and I believed in you before the stupid show. But anyway, one of the posts that I had made was about not being suicidal anymore. Another post that I had made was about being a high-functioning autistic person. This is something that, like, I found out much later in my life. There was somebody who was high functioning on the autism spectrum, who was making a series of videos, like, online on I don't know where I found them. I think maybe on Instagram, and it was very, very it was huge for me to discover this person and what they were talking about, and it freed me in a lot of ways, because there was a real disconnect between me and my mind, and like how I thought about things and how other people were thinking about things all the time. And there was all sorts of weird difficulties that I was having, that when I like got deep into this, like, well, a high functioning autistic person might experience XYZ, like, oh my God, it was everything. I had all the symptoms. I was like, oh fuck, yeah, totally, yes, that's a problem for me. Yes, yeah. What the hell? How come I didn't find out about this before? And there's really, like, autism, whatever. It's like fucking kind of bullshit labels and stuff, because it's really just like a spectrum of how different minds work. But it really helped me at the time to understand that about myself. And to get like all of like the superpowers that came with it, but also all of the things that sort of made me so different, as to have an experience on Earth where people were really like misunderstanding me a lot. And I made a post about that, separate from the post about being suicidal. Okay. Additionally, I had made another post about labels, and about basically using labels to break what they mean. because you could call me a jock, and you could call me a geek, and you could call me high-functioning autistic, and you could call me suicidal, depressed, anxiety-driven person. You could call me non-binary, which is what that article was about. There's a lot of different things that theoretically you could call me, but none of them actually accurately represent me. Well, this person called me about being a part of their non-binary article. I decided that I wanted to do it because I wanted to have an opportunity to, one, show people that not every person on this LGBTQ spectrum list or whatever is playing the same games, is after the same things, is looking for validations for you to learn my pronouns, like all this other bullshit. I did the article for that. I had been told that a lot of people weren't interested in doing the article because in this new Trump era, they were nervous about exposing themselves. And I spoke at length about how I thought that was bullshit during my interview, and that was nonsense. And I'm sure there are some out there in the Republican camp who might want to, on some level, fucking control my human experience as a non-binary person. We'll get into what that actually means, because this article that they did was character assassination. It was nothing like what I gave them. They picked and chose just different quotes from me, and they painted me to look like one of those annoying, chubby, purple-haired lesbians who you see on fucking social media. And I'm sorry, dude, but like, it's like there's a certain something, there's a certain aesthetic to this person who is just sort of like bossing other people around and wants everybody to do it the way they want to do it. And that was not the interview that I gave. But as I learned a long time ago on Rock the Cradle, the more you talk, the easier it is for them to chop up what you've said and turn it into anything they want to. And since I've expressed to people my anger at this fucking piece that they did, just like half the people who I've talked to about it have said, yeah, that happened to me. I did da-da-da-da-da-da, and they made me and my girlfriend look like an idiot. I did an interview with da-da-da-da, and they made us look like assholes. Yeah. When you do these interviews, for a feature and stuff like that, it's like you're just a tool for the story that they want to tell. And they wanted to do a story for Pride Month about non-binary people. They didn't want to fucking explain what it meant in any way, shape, or form. And that's aggravating. So before I get into a whole bunch of the things that like fucking pissed me the fuck off, I should talk about that a little bit. You know what's always been a battle for me? Trying to eat right without wasting a ton of food or time. I'm busy. I've got creative deadlines, 4 kids, and 100 things in motion. But I still care about what I'm putting into my body. That's where Hungry Roots stepped in and completely changed the game. For real, it's like having your own personal shopper, chef, and nutritionist all rolled into one. I don't have to stand in the grocery store wondering, what the hell am I even doing here? They just handle it. I get exactly what I need, 0 food waste. And the recipes? Fast, easy, and actually good. And I love that they're tailoring everything to me. Not just some healthy stereotype. I've got goals. I'm working on inflammation, gut health, muscle fuel, you name it. And they meet me there. High protein? Check. Dairy-free options? Done. Wild variety? Always. They've got over 15,000 quick recipes. Everything takes about 15 minutes or less. And I'm not stuck eating the same 3 things every week. Plus, Hungry Root carries awesome extras. Smoothies, snacks, salad kits, even supplements. All high quality, no artificial garbage, no hormones, just clean food that gets the job done. I'm not guessing anymore. I'm not overbuying. I'm not wasting money. I'm just eating like someone who's got it together. Now, I'm constantly trying new things, and honestly, I haven't been this excited about food in years.
You're going to love Hungry Root as much as I do. Take advantage of this exclusive offer. For a limited time, get 40% off your first box. Plus, get a free item in every box for life. Go to hungryroot.com/CGA and use code CGA. That's hungryroot.com/CGA, code CGA. To get 40% off your first box and a free item of your choice for life. hungryroot.com/CGA, code CGA.
What is non-binary? Okay, I don't like this term, all right? I really don't. It's like, it just so happens, though, that the definition underpinning it does describe me in lots of ways. In the article, they say that I came out on this show. I never came out, you motherfuckers. Just so you know, I never came out. All my fucking friends have always known who I am. Granted, sometimes they've had to go, "Are you gay?" And then I've had to explain, "No, I'm not gay. I'm like, what? I'm just a little weird. Just like, stop being a dick to me." Because I don't feel like a sex. There've always been like people who seem to me to gravitate like I'm a man and this means this, and people who are like I'm a woman and and naturally the woman type things come to them and naturally the man type things come to them. That was not true for me. I did not feel like a man. I didn't feel like a woman, even though I was often accused of being or told I was gay by other people, which is like, fuck them for like, why are we talking about that anyway? Like I am who I am. But it has been a thing that because of my more feminine kind of nature on some levels, that I would get mistaken for a gay man, because if you're feminine, then that means you're gay. But that's bullshit, actually. And I think that's a whole bunch of society stigma that you don't need. These were some of the things that I was trying to talk about in the interview. And I mean, basically, as you hear me talk about this stuff, these are things that I said to the interviewer, but they did not make it into the article. I remember there was some book, I think it was called like X or something, and it was basically like about like a tomboy girl who, didn't feel like a girl or a boy. She felt like X. And I remember as a kid, I was like, yeah, that's how I feel. Really, I feel like a idea inside a body. My body happens to have a penis, but like that doesn't really mean a lot to me. I don't really care. Like, yeah, I got a penis. I've chosen women, I think, in a large part because I have a penis and it goes into the vagina, and I really like sex. I love sex. Like, making love is just the greatest thing on planet Earth. There's nothing better than making love to somebody who you care about. That's the best thing ever. So, for me, it was like, well, I've been given this thing and it goes inside that thing. So I'm going to find one of those that I like. And this is like the thing that I wanted to talk about in the non-binary article and like, all this stuff. Like, there are only two energies on Earth, masculine and feminine. And I've taught this in my other podcast, Everything They Don't Want You to Know, which is every Monday, even though I skipped this past week's show. I was going to rage about this on that show. I might talk about it again, but in a different way, just talk about the media come Monday. But on Everything They Don't Want You to Know, my first 15 episodes of the show are all about natural law, universal law, not natural law, universal law, and the Hermetic principles. If you study Hermetic principles, you can learn about gender, masculine energy, feminine energy. I kind of teach masculine energy and feminine energy a little bit different than has been traditionally spoken about, but I really think the way that I break it down is right, and it is easiest to understand. The masculine, which comes from the nothing. The nothing. We come from nothing. We come from just a stillness. When yogis are trying to meditate and trying to come to nothing, no mind, nothing. Nothing. Nothing could essentially be boiled down into the masculine energy. The idea of, I love this just as it is. Let's keep it just like this. Don't change a thing. Nothing. right? The feminine energy can be thought of as the something, the idea, the something that came from the nothing, the idea that, I love this, but maybe we could try it like this. Wait, maybe we could try it like that. Wait, maybe it would be even better like this. That's the masculine energy, nothing, and the feminine energy, maybe something. Nothing, something, nothing, something. Now, everybody has a mix of these two energies, masculine and feminine, within them. My energy originally, and I've balanced it more, so now I would say I'm way more in the middle of this thing, as perfectly in the middle as you can get, being, ooh, I got an idea, let's make a change. Ooh, wait, let's appreciate this the way it is right now. Okay, we can make a change. That's the give and take. That's the perfect relationship. That's the perfect relationship with two people, but it's also the perfect relationship within yourself. Being able to stop and appreciate and protect in your masculine, keep this just the way it is, and to be able to go, I'm going to add a little bit of love and creativity to this. We're going to make it into something even better. Okay, so everybody's got masculine energy and feminine energy. Now, because my feminine energy was more predominant than my masculine energy, especially when I was younger, I was always looking for women who had more masculine energy. This got boiled down in the article very succinctly in ways that I did not like, because at a glance it sort of just seemed like a insult to my girl and to my mother, who I mentioned, in the article at length, as I was talking about how, my mother is like one of the most beautiful women on planet Earth, and she is this ass-kicking, power washing, do it yourself, self-made lady, who works with her hands and is really tough. And that, the girl that I want to marry is the same. She's an electrician who does everything that the boys do in the electrical field. She's a union electrician out in California, but she's also beautiful. Just gorgeous and likes to be pretty, and and you can be both. And I am both, and I was always looking for people who were both like me. And I would say even more so, like as I've come into my masculine in a stronger way, my girl has had to come into her feminine. Because this is the thing, when you really get into cahoots with somebody else in a relationship, hopefully when it's going good, you guys are growing together, and we've been growing together. And and that growth process, I believe, my spiritual understanding of this world is that we are meant to balance ourselves in our masculine and feminine. And this sort of non-binary experience that I'm having, I think it's an experience that most people are actually having, where they feel like an idea inside a body. That body happens to have been, born with whatever sex it has, and you sort of roll with it from there. But a lot of times you get people who go like, oh, well, everybody else knew I was gay before I did. No, that's not how it works. Other people don't tell you that you're fucking gay. Like, gay means you are like looking around going, look at that cock. I want some of that. Yeah, if that's the case, then yes, you're gay. If you're not going, oh, yes, I'm super into this other thing that, this thing that's like me, that's over there, I want to be making love to myself all the time, then no, you're probably not gay. At the same time, these walls of gay and straight, all this stuff, they're really like arbitrary. Just across nature, across whatever planes you want to look at perspective-wise, there are boy bugs mating with boy bugs and boy frogs mating with boy frog, and they're changing sexes, and like there's all sorts of interesting things that happen in the animal kingdom and in higher planes of existence, where this sex thing, where there's a girl and there's a boy, it doesn't matter, because ultimately we're realizing that we're just consciousness, and the consciousness is going to do what feels good for the consciousness. And a lot of things that feel good in general on planet Earth are made to be bad here. So Of course, there's a lot of weird, mixed up things about what it means to be straight and what it means to be gay and like, all these things. Like at a certain point, I stopped saying that I was, that I was like straight or whatever. I would say, well, who knows what tomorrow it will bring, or something like that. Like, well, traditionally I like really tough chicks, but who knows what tomorrow may bring. And that wasn't said with like a, one day I'm going to shock everybody by being gay. It was really just said with a acknowledgement of the fact that it doesn't really matter. It's like there's things that I like and there's preferences that I have, and they include boobies. I like boobies. I like ladies, but it doesn't matter. And so, wherever you find yourself on this spectrum, just don't feel bad about it. There's nothing to feel bad about. And there seems to be a lot to the whole gay, straight, whatever sort of thing of past lives. And a lot of people don't believe in past lives, but I'm telling you, I've had way more than enough personal experiences to tell you it's a thing. And there's plenty of books that you could read. Many Lives, Many Masters is a really good one. That one went through my family like wildfire years ago. And we all, kind of woke up to this past life thing. And, like somebody like my brother has meditated into, he does like the personal hypnosis, and there's like YouTube videos that you could find where he brings himself into what's called a past life regression, and he has pulled forth crazy information. I mean, he told me something about myself in a life that he was in with me, and it was, oh man, it like so spoke to me and like who I was. You know what? I'll share it with you real quick. I mean, it was basically, and I don't remember where his part in this was, but he saw this life that I lived where I was an anime artist in Japan, I guess. And there was this contest at the local bar where they would invent characters every week. Everybody would come and invent characters, and I would win every week. I would win and I would win and I would win. From a very young age, I started winning this contest, and it became like my identity. And it was so impossible for anyone to beat me that eventually people started to get upset and started to really like be aiming to beat me. And after a while, the whole energy of the room that we were in had become this energy of, we're going to beat him. We can't let him win. And I stopped winning, and I never won again. And I became obsessed with trying to like earn back my spot and win this contest again. And I was just basically, they didn't want me to win. So no matter what I did, I couldn't win. And I ended up like kind of quitting and going into like exile, and I drew like pornography comic books for people, apparently, for money. And I gave up. The whole room had like turned against me. And I can't tell you now, because I'm just bringing it to the surface. I haven't thought about it in a long time. But at the time when I had heard that, there was so many things about that really just spoke to me in a terrible way. And this is the thing about these past lives. Why would I even need to know about? Well, because sometimes they'll teach you something about yourself. Sometimes they'll explain to you why you're gay, because you've been a woman so many times in so many recent lives, and you really liked being a woman, and now you came to be a man, and it doesn't really feel great. You still kind of like being a woman. And granted, that does not have to be the story of why you're gay. You could be gay for any number of reasons. You could be an alien where there was only one sex ever, and and all the sexes were the same, and now you're like, I want to be with somebody who's the same as me. There's a lot of different possible explanations for why some past life that you've been in has led you to a personal proclivity. And I would say that the ultimate, like, sort of future destination of so much of this stuff is a certain amount of bisexuality, because why not? You know, it's you like hugging your friend. You know, it's like you guys doing something intimately together. I think that is the future of consciousness. You know, we're so afraid of each other and far away from each other. The idea of like loving each other seems so scary and alien. But if you take away those restraints and that fear, on the other side of it is love and affection. And that's generally what people have on the inside when conditions are right. So, you know, conditions being right would, I believe, lead to just a lot more sex. Like you hear about, like, oh, in the Roman bathhouses. Yeah, I'm sure, you know, your balls are probably rubbing up against the other guy's balls sometimes. Which that sound gross to some of you guys. But it kind of is what it is. And it's just, if it sounds gross, it's because there's a certain amount of things that are getting in the way of you feeling like, oh yeah, loving on things. I mean, just like you see an animal that you like in nature. What do you want to go? You want to go pet it. Let me go pet that thing. Let me go touch that thing. You know, it's the more intimate version of it when you're like, I'd like to touch it with my genitals. But what I'm saying is love is fundamentally not wrong. And in any form that it may take, love is not wrong, and nobody should feel like it is ever. You know, me being non-binary, I didn't have that term for a very long period of time. And again, I don't like that term. I don't like fucking boxes and labels, except when I can take them and I can rip them in pieces. And, you know, my aggravation with this Newsday article is just that they made me out to be like everybody else. You know, I stated at some point in the interview that I felt that the LGBTQ community had been weaponized. And the way they wrote it into the article, it seems like I'm a Democrat speaking from the DNC position. I'm not a Democrat. I'm not a Republican. I am a centrist. I have nothing to do with any of these groups. I observe both of them, nothing to do with them. But there's a fucking gay pride, not a gay pride, a non-binary flag. I don't fucking live under that non-binary flag. I told them I wanted the flag out of the article. They had posted this article online before it came out on Sunday in the paper. And I reached out to them. I told them I was going to sue them. I told them I wanted out of the article. They expressly refused my being taken out of the article because I was the fucking cover story to their life section. I was the photos that were being used for this whole thing. And the first fucking quote from a person in the article is somebody who has the last name Schneider, but written differently. My name's Snyder. Their name was Schneider. And I'm like, you hear Jesse Snyder and then Schneider with some quotes. The way they mixed and matched these quotes, it sounded like these quotes could have came from either one of us. I think that was what they wanted. It was like, oh, these are all non-binary people. They're all saying the same things. We were not saying the same things. I was trying to have this fucking conversation about masculine energy, feminine energy, the fact that everybody's got their different levels of masculine energy, feminine energy. You know, the thing growing up, and I talked about this, of course, none of this is in the article. There were women that I was very attracted to who were like fucking giantesses. Like, you know, they were fucking tall and powerful looking. And there were, you know, like in the locker room, I would hear the guys point to those girls and make fun of them. And there were girls that I was very attracted to that like I wasn't allowed to be attracted to, essentially. Like if I said I was attracted to those people, I'd be being made fun of because they were masculine on some level. But I like that. You know, like there's a fucking, I forget what her name is, something June or whatever, who's in like on Instagram, and she's some bodybuilding chick or whatever. And I mean, but she's really some next level, whatever. I mean, if you don't think this girl's attractive, you're out of your fucking mind. But because she's got women, you know, it's a female figure, but it's just powerful. She's like muscular and oh god, I want to climb her. I like that. That's okay. You know, that's really the thing that
we have to come away from, and like all this idea that other people and what they like is good for you. No, like you are going to have specific likes. You might like a woman or a man with a really big nose or with a unibrow or, I don't like girls who look like little boys, if they got really skinny, wrists and really skinny ankles and like, bugs. Like God, get them away from me. I can't stand them. Like I like women who like, could put on a leather jacket and fucking rock that shit. And that's okay. Like I don't feel bad about that shit. I've never felt bad about who I was as being a non-binary guy. I've had half the girls that I went out with in high school went on to be lesbians. And I love that. I wear that as a badge of honor that those lesbians felt comfortable with me. They felt like they, again, it proves that they are looking for feminine energy in their relationships, and I provided some feminine energy and they provided some masculine energy, and I really liked them. I thought they were beautiful. I thought they were cool, and they were. And it's okay that they went on to be lesbians. Like, it doesn't say anything bad about me. It just says that they were comfortable with me, and it makes sense that they were comfortable with me. And there are women who are not interested in being lesbians. They're looking for a man that is capable of being feminine enough that they can match up with one another. There's a lot of weird backwards ideas about how these things are supposed to be, and that's ultimately what the LGBTQ community is constantly fighting against. Any sort of idea that there's only one way, and like, our way or the highway, you got to be butch, you got to be a man, that's bullshit. But I say this like that I'm so comfortable with all of these notions, and I am, because casually, in passing, in this article, the person who wrote it, which is why I will never forgive them, they casually connected my separate post about being high-functioning autistic, which has nothing to fucking do with me being non-binary, and having had suicidal feelings, which has nothing to do with me being non-binary. I have never had a suicidal thought in my life because of I wouldn't even call it my fucking sexuality, because I'm non-binary. Never. I have never felt bad about myself because of that. That has never wanted to make me end my life. I talked earlier about what it is that was really causing that feeling, which was largely dealing with lots of egos who kept demonizing me because I'm a very brave soul who puts themselves out there in lots of ways. And that bravery is often taken as fucking egotism, which it's not. And also, really, the thing that like left me there in that state was my divorce, and that was because lots of different pressure from family members, pressure from friends of how things should be, and I had 4 kids and all this stuff, and I was going to end my marriage, and all the guilt that was brought upon me because of that stage of my life. That was what left me in that state. But casually, it mentions that I had a post making posts on social media about being autistic, and they didn't say high functioning, autistic. So to just say autistic is irresponsible journalism. To include that I was suicidal in an article featuring about being non-binary, it suggests that non-binary people are suicidal. I'm not fucking suicidal because I'm non-binary. I had dealt with some of those feelings. It's because of the fucking human experience that we have here on planet Earth, not because I'm non-binary. So that bit right there, this person will never have access to me again. I blocked them. They're no longer on my Facebook. I'm so devastated. This was like I said, the teachers, not the teacher's aide, was like the liaison for I said it right earlier, but they were kind of our teacher. They were like the person that interacted with the students, making sure that the newspaper was going down right every week. And my newspaper,
always went down right every week. I got all my work done always. My responsibility was that 8-page pullout, and every week I had an 8-page pullout. It was fucking killer. I wrote more than half the articles in it because I only had so many writers working for me. There was no reason to do an 8-page pullout. I just wanted it to be a section. I wanted to have an entertainment section in the paper, and I asked if we could do it, and they said yeah. So I did. Fuck that person. Fuck them very much. And all the damn compliments that they've ever given me, and all the fucking trust that I put in them to feature me like I am, and not to homogenize me into their little box. And that's what they did. It's really unconscionable, the suicidal thing and the autism thing. Like, I mean, just because of the way people take words. You know, to talk at length about how I am on the autism spectrum and that I'm a very high functioning autistic person, and sometimes it leads to miscommunication because people just like don't get me. That's a long conversation with a lot of nuance in it. It does not boil down to autistic. Sorry. That's a fucking lie. And I'm really pissed off that you did that. And the suicidal ideation thing, I made that post to help people who were dealing with these things, who were in positions like this, but to use it to describe me in one word, fucking cunt. That's the one word that I use back against this writer. I cannot believe you. I cannot believe that you are involved in such yellow journalism. That's yellow journalism right there. Connecting to unrelated facts for drama. You wanted to be able to use those words in your article, but those words made me more of a caricature and less of a nuanced, real person that I am. I did not deserve that. I have literal text exchanges from when I was asked a number of follow-up questions, and I tell you what, this may be the one bit that I read. I'm going to try to pull this up right now. Hold on a second. All right, so I found it. I'm just going to read the text exchange here verbatim, you know, because this really boils down most of the stuff that I had a problem with in terms of the article. And like, don't fucking bother to read it. It's like, it's a fucking stupid bullshit piece that doesn't teach you anything about fucking non-binary people or the non-binary experience. It's just a bunch of gobbledygook. And I'm ashamed to be in it. I tried to get myself out of it, but before it was published, they reached out to me and they said, "Hey, Jesse, I'm just double checking. Do you want me to use he, him, or they, them as your pronouns? At the top of the conversation, I think you asked for they, them, which I did not." I said, "No." I said, and you can quote me, "This is why I'm double checking with you. I don't want to get anything wrong." "Oh, but they did anyway." "I know you said that they, them is probably better in general for everybody, but I do have to use the right pronoun that you want in the story." Okay, I'm pretty positive I repeat everything exactly here, so I don't think I have to talk about it. But here, I say, limiting pronouns to they, them, if we could actually do that, parentheses, and we cannot when the group isn't ready, is a great idea that does take the gender binary out of the conversation. However, adding an additional amount of bottomless pronouns is the worst, most me, self-serving, narcissistic idea I've ever heard of that literally cancels out any good that the idea of limiting them down to they, them would do. Less pronouns equals great. More pronouns that everyone must be forced to learn equals narcissism. Okay? So they did call me he, and I said with the non-binary conversation too, if you fucking call me they, them, it makes it harder for them to even fucking understand that I'm in a boy's body experiencing an experience where I don't necessarily feel tied to the sex that I have. But I do have that sex. She said, "Yes, you did say that. So which pronouns do you want me to use when I refer to you? I said, he, him. It's silly to be leading such a charge when a society isn't ready to do it as a group. No need to confuse people. You know what matters more to me than my pronouns? I said. Literally every other issue you could possibly think of. What a waste of our time, a purposeful distraction that keeps our world polluted. Money flowing one way, and the left and right locked in a heated debate about wind, about literally nothing, and it makes the liberals look like narcissists, which they have become by playing this game. I am not a narcissist, and I have had to excise myself from the entire liberal paradigm because they have fallen into this trap of stupidity and wasteful conversation. My heart bleeds, but not for pronouns, and no heart should bleed for them. Love and respect. Thank you so much. She said, thank you for your thoughtful response. When I repeated this, I said, he, him. It's really hard for anyone to even understand what being non-binary means if you don't refer to me as he, him. I am a boy living with a soul that does not really identify that way, but I'm still a he, him to everybody who sees me. I still grow a really thick beard. I still have a penis. It's sort of important to be he, him for the conversation of me being non-binary. She said, I think it's great, all good. I'm only fact-checking, also just confirming you have 4 children, correct? I said, yes, I do. 2 boys, 2 girls. Do you want me to say you were born male or that you were assigned male at birth? This is what they asked me. I said, no. I do not want to be associated with any of the lame nomenclature that the Democratic Party has been using to divide the American people with. Please do not associate me with any of those terms whatsoever. Write this article on my behalf, as if it was 20 years ago before any of these terms were invented. I despise all of the language. I believe that the word cis is a slur. I'm so serious about this. Please, if something like assigned male at birth is used to describe me, I will actually be very upset. All of this language was designed in a think tank to separate us down the middle as a society. They used similar language in Russia before Russia had a revolt, and we split it into pieces. Go speak to some old Russian men. They will tell you that the trans issue became the most important issue in Russia right before the whole country fell apart. She said, born male it is. Then I wrote again, please do not associate me with any of this language. I am a man. It just so happens the term non-binary describes me, as I believe it describes many. But I am not a part of an agenda to re-educate the masses about the idea that everyone is uniquely different. I think they already know that inherently and do not need pronouns or any of this language to learn about it. You're not going to see anything like what I'm saying here in this article. And please trust me when I say that my interview that I did was long, and there was lots of things like this being said. This is me reiterating lots of the things that I said in the article. But none of that stuff made it in. So we had a follow-up. Hi, Jesse. Happy Father's Day. I loved your posts. I have a couple quick questions. When you decided that you were non-binary 8 years ago, when did you share that news with family members and friends? Was it immediately or seen after? You also said that you had mentioned it a few times on Coolest Geek Alive. Was it this year, last year, and or the year before? I think I read online that the podcast was launched in 2023. These are editor's questions, FYI. Now, let me just say, this is why we're talking about this, because I did this as a promotion for Coolest Geek Alive, really. They were asking me, to do it. They wanted to go take pictures of me while I was recording the show. There's a ton of pictures of me with my mohawk up recording the show. And I had talked about that I had talked about this, but I talked about at length that I talked about it only to give strength to the fucking arguments that I was making about the way DEI had been implemented into the entertainment that we are all experiencing. Very clearly. None of that's in the article. So here was my response about this. I said, well, I don't move at the speed of propaganda, so I never, quote, officially, quote, came out, end quote.
like that. All of a sudden, I became aware that there was an official term that accurately described my experience as a being on Earth, but I never felt any need to come out, seeing as I'd spent my entire life as a weirdo, as decidedly different than everyone else, and the people who loved me already knew that, and had long ago stopped asking me if I was gay. I very purposefully did not come out to my acting union or my agency, even when they demanded that everyone fill out various forms specifically what I was. I didn't. It's none of their business, and I felt it was discrimination, period, to be asking everybody that, because I knew it was going to be, I didn't write this, I said because I knew that it was going to be, I'm saying now, I knew that it was going to be used to discriminate against people, and I didn't want to get jobs because I was non-binary. So I didn't participate. It hurt my career quite a bit. However, at various times as it came up in conversation, I now was able to say to friends, family, and my girlfriend, oh yeah, I've officially shown up on the list. Non-binary, though I hate the term, does fairly accurately describe me. And as I launched my podcast 2 years ago, I brought it up. Again, I feel it's not really anyone's business, only to give strength to various arguments about the community, about the terrible inclusion we were receiving in fiction, which I felt was rather separating. True equality does not shift a story all around until it's explicitly about an LGBTQ member's sexuality. Why? Because that's not how it works for the straight ones. Unless you're reading Archie comics or other romance/soap operas, those are specifically about relationships, and sometimes, not even a lot of the time, their sexuality. However, make someone gay in a comic book and they're like an alien now needs to be explained to the straights, which isn't true at all. Real equality means treating the characters the same. I do not know about any of Spider-Man's kinks. The book isn't about sex, it's about protecting the people he cares about. If Mary Jane was Mark Jacob, it wouldn't change a single story. I've said this before on the show. He'd just be drawn as a boy instead of a girl, and that's it. But the real phobes are the corporate media that think just because you're on the LGBTQ spectrum that your entire life revolves around your sexuality. It does not. So I would bring it up on the show whenever appropriate, but I did not throw a party or feel any need to come out. Honestly, it's a divisive and phobic sort of question as far as I'm concerned, and I don't expect it to be used to describe me in the article. I never used it. I don't use it. There's no need for the straights to come out. There's no need for me to. That's equality, and I expect to be treated the same as any straight man. Please inform your editor. I consider it a slight against me and those like me that I was asked this question when I spoke extensively about my experience, and I never used those words. More divisive propaganda terms being hoisted upon me. This is why you had such a difficult time getting people to be interviewed about being non-binary, because all of a sudden we are being spoken about like we're not the same as everyone else. I am, and I never felt a need to come out. The only people who come out are people who are in the closet, who are hiding who they are from other people. I am not someone who's ever felt the need to hide who I was from anyone. Just because I didn't have a term to describe who I was didn't mean that I needed it, wanted it, or that all of a sudden, because there was a term, I would all of a sudden come out in some official capacity and play this stupid Rainbow Coalition March game. It was in the and I said, followed up, it was in the first year of the show, in the first dozen or so episodes where I said that I was, but I didn't like that term, and then I was only bringing it up for the sake of the argument that I was making, that I didn't really like being forced to speak about it, but that the conversation online had gotten very ugly, and people like to suggest that just because you have an opinion, you're not allowed to give it unless you've had some sort of experience in that world, and since I had, and since I know it made it easier for me to speak on behalf of my community, I spoke about it. No fanfare, there's nothing to celebrate. I'm just like everybody else. Only people who are hiding who they are need to come out. And I have never been hiding who I am. I just did not have that term available to describe me. And I said, thank you. I appreciate it so much. Hope you had a nice Father's Day as well. I am so upset about what they did with these answers, these follow-up questions, and I gave them answers. In my section, it says, the title of my section is coming out on a social media post, or I don't fucking even remember now. But they use the word come out multiple times. They boiled down my father also into some sort of like joke of like his sexuality, because I was making a joke, but it was in a longer form conversation about the fact that my parents, are much more balanced in their masculine feminine. My father's a creative person. As we spoke about earlier, that's more the feminine energy. Maybe it could be better if we try it like this. My father is a big, scary 6-foot-something guy on stage wearing scary women's clothing for his concerts. That's kind of interesting. There's an interesting gender bending going on within the thing. Like these ideas about gender are not quite so static and stuck where they are. I was able to see that very clearly from the position that I was in. And I mean, you guys should be able to see it now just looking around the world as more and more voices in this realm have been able to come out. Hopefully you haven't only dealt with the voices that are divisive and annoying. Now, I did this article so that I could show people that there were other voices that weren't so divisive, that weren't so annoying, that weren't so narcissistic. But me and the other people featured in this article were boiled down to little bits about ourselves, and we seem just like a part of that group. It seems like there is only one group and they all think in lockstep, and now I've been included amongst them. And that was the last thing I ever wanted to do. This article was character assassination. The editor could go fuck himself, and the writer can go fuck herself. I am furious. If I had all the time and money and energy in the world, I would sue them into oblivion. I have most of my gripes with the article in writing. I have those social media posts in writing. The post where I mentioned being non-binary, I do not mention being suicidal. The post where I mentioned being non-binary, I mentioned a shitload of different things about me. It was all about labels. It wasn't a post about how these labels were associated with one another, except that they all existed in this one body. However, when you focus everybody's attention on me being non-binary and then you talk about me being suicidal or autistic, it seems like, oh, he's retarded and he's suicidal. He wants to kill himself because he's retarded and he knows that being this is bad. That's essentially what you're telling people. You're telling people that I have some sort of shame about being my unique self, and I do fucking not. So for once and for all time, let it be known that Newsday article about Jesse being non-binary is fucking bullshit. It was cherry-picked from a long-ass interviews that I did. And you know what? I'll leave you with one last bit to this whole puzzle, because it applies so sturdy. I got character assassinated. I've been character assassinated many times. But I was character assassinated by MTV, Viacom, when I was on Rock the Cradle. Every episode of the show, they made me out to look like a cocky, egotistical rock star, with the help of my father, mind you, who always read my autistic nature, which was not good at communicating, so I copied him. I copied his communication style, and at a certain point in time, I started to get shit from him and other people for talking like him, talking like a rock star. But he was the person I copied. I wasn't egotistical. I was just trying to communicate like the person that I had studied the most closely. So people just misunderstand me. I'm confident. I believe that other people should be confident too. I believe that if you're not confident, then you must be doing something wrong that you know about and you should change it. I'm doing everything as best as I can, and I know it because I'm paying attention all the time. I'm doing the best I can. I know that. So I allow myself to be confident. But because of that confidence and because of comments like my father's, they were making me out to be the bad guy. And they made me out to be the bad guy up against Crosby Loggins, who was Kenny Loggins' son, who was like a singer-songwriter guy. And because he's a singer-songwriter, he's sitting there writing. You want me to tell you what I can tell you about fucking singer-songwriters? They're pretentious. They're pretentious as fuck. They've chosen the most respectable route to go down so that they can get respect. I chose punk and rock music because I don't give a fuck about what other people think is respectable. But most of the time, all those soft, they care. And he cared. And he thought he was better than the fucking crew. He did not have I had so many relationships on the crew, so many relationships with the other people in the cast. He kept himself separate from the fucking cast. He thought he was better than them. And because he's from some fucking upper echelon, whatever. He was slightly older than everybody. He was like 3 years older than me. He and I eventually became friends because his girlfriend saw that I was a really nice guy and that we had a similar personality, that we would get along. And it turned out we did. We bonded one day when he started playing Political Science, which is a song by Randy Newman, which I love Randy Newman. And it's a really great song. Look up Political Science. Very funny. And we sang it in backstage one day, and he and I became kind of friends. But it does not change the fact that he was not a particularly friendly person. I was. But he was depicted as just the greatest guy ever. And he was shown to be doing charity. When we went with our own charity and went, hey, we want to do this for this section this week, Jesse doing a charity, they said, Crosby's already doing a charity. I wasn't allowed to do a charity because they didn't want to show me in that light. I was Apollo Creed and he was Rocky Balboa. And they had chosen him to win this fucking thing. So I couldn't fly against the story. Now, I remember this one time, and this is the story that I want to tell you, that I was being interviewed weeks into this show, and every single thing, no matter what I said, they would take what I said and turn it into me being a jerk towards the other cast members. They'd ask me questions, and everybody said that they were going to be honest. We had talked, like the cast had talked. We all said we were going to be honest. But they weren't using the other cast members' honesty. The other cast members were talking shit, all this stuff, because they wanted to be on TV. But they didn't care about them being negative because that wasn't the story they were trying to tell. They were trying to tell a story about me being an egotistical maniac. So, as I figured out what was going on, I stopped giving them what they wanted. But what they would do is they would just keep me there longer. They would ask me questions for hours. And I remember one time, after I'd been there for like 3 hours and they were waiting to get in the other wave of people, the other cast members to come in and do their interviews. And they had me there 3 hours because they have it written down on paper what they want me to say. They know they need to get Jesse saying something along these lines. So finally, one of the producers, who I'd become very friendly with, he just went, hey, Jess, could you just say that whole thing that you just said, but can you open with ... and then go into it? And I went, yeah, sure, no problem. So we go, and we go, and then I start talking about the thing. 2 days later, on the show, live, I see this video package air, and I say, cut. They literally got me to say the words and then excised all the context. They said, can you just say these words, which is what you're saying, but say it just like this so that we can then remove all of the nuance and all of the context to your answer. That's what the media does. If you're here and you're new to the show, this is me, man. I'm not on the right. I'm not on the left. I'm crazy liberal. But in that way that I love everybody and I want us all to be together in the end. I want us to figure out how to move forward in this world. I believe that we can together. I do this show because I'm a writer and I've been in this business and I've watched the art of storytelling and myth-making completely fall apart over the past decade as money and corporate globalist interests have gotten into the proceedings and ruined all of my favorite things. Star Trek, Marvel Comics, DC Comics, Lord of the Rings, Star Wars, Doctor Who, He-Man, you name it, they fucked it up. And until the masses are educated on what good storytelling is, we're going to be living in this world of shitty storytelling. Or until people like me are empowered to do better. Right now, you can empower me by going to Kickstarter. If you go to Kickstarter.com and you put in my name, I'm sure both of these will come up. But I've got a box set of my music for Jesse Blaze. I'm on my 9th album that I'm about to release called Son of a God. It's great shit. The Solfeggio Transmissions record that I just put out a few months ago is excellent. You can find that on Spotify or wherever you listen to your music. But I'll be making physical copies of my music, which you can sign up for there if you go to Kickstarter. And then, but better than that, for those of you who love stories, is a magazine that we're doing. We're going to replace Heavy Metal Magazine with something better. It's called Sugar and Bones Magazine. I'm really excited. I've got some of the most brilliant creative people on planet Earth working with me on this thing. And if you go to Kickstarter right now, you can sign up for notifications for that. The box set's probably going to be going live in the next few weeks. The magazine's going to be going live in the next few months after that. There's a lot of stuff that I'm working on to change the world for the better. And if you want to be along for the ride, join me. Go to Kickstarter, blah, blah, blah. You can also find me. I'm on Facebook. I have a professional account that I don't use. I fucking hate it. I have a personal account, though, and you can find that. And, once I hit 5,000, that's it. That's all the people who'll be in there. And then everybody else will just have to share shit. But that's how I'm doing it now. I don't do fucking Twitter anymore. I don't do Instagram anymore. I just do that one Facebook account where I interact with my friends. If you want to be one of my friends, you can find me over there. And if you want to email me directly, you can at jesseblaze@jessesnyder.com. Last thing I'll say is every Saturday I do a coolest pick or a coolest classic, some great TV show, great film, something like that I want to recommend to you. Those are shorter episodes and you can check it out this Saturday. And then every Monday I do my show, Everything They Don't Want You to Know. I've been invited to join the Illuminati. I've been invited to join the Freemasons. These are evil fucking secret groups that are part of the reason why the world is the shitty place that it is. If you want some of my insight into how the world got this way, you should check out Everything They Don't Want You to Know. Anyway, I love you so much. Thank you for being here for my retraction to that bullshit article, that fucking Newsday. Fuck you, Newsday. And fuck you, everybody who was involved in that stupid smear piece, making me look like I belong in your fucking box, you fucking assholes. Anyway, I really don't care. I feel better now that I've spoken about it. It was just really a good thing to talk about. But it's absurd. And I care more about the fact that they do this to people all the time, every day. They're doing this shit to people in the news. And we should not stand for it anymore. Know this, if you ever get invited to do an article, remember what I said. It's going to be very likely that you're going to get turned into some fucking caricature of yourself. So mark my words and, don't be fooled like I was, again, by a friend of mine. Normally I would not have been fooled. Normally I would have said no. But because it was being written by a friend, I said yes. And they are not a friend anymore. Anyway, I love you so much. Care Bear Stare. I hope this is just the beginning of you listening to Coolest Geek Alive, and I hope you'll join me again next Wednesday for another fucking awesome episode of the Coolest Geek Alive. Peace out.
You've been listening to Coolest Geek Alive with me, your host, Jesse Blaze Snyder. Don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe for more excellent geek culture content. Thanks for listening.
It's my favorite part! Isn't that heavy? I'll play that! It's gonna be fucking awesome! Coolest alive! It's gonna be fucking awesome! Stay with your tribe! It's gonna be fucking awesome! Revenge of the Geeks! It's gonna be fucking awesome! Week after weeks! It's gonna be fucking awesome! Laughing with you! It's gonna be fucking awesome! And crying sometimes too! It's gonna be fucking awesome! Spelling it out! It's gonna be fucking awesome! Making you shout! be fucking awesome. Talking some shit. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Living legit. My voice is gonna be fucking awesome. Food in our mouth. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Get in the mouth. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Tell all your friends. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Call right or text. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Raising the bar. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Straight to the stars. It's gonna be fucking awesome. It's starting soon. Straight to the top. Passing the moon. It's gonna be fucking awesome. On with the show. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Ready, set, go. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Fucking awesome. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Just wait. You'll see. You'll all see.
The podcast playground. All right.